They taught you to use one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed?
And let me see what you have.
No! Ciao all, Thomas here. Now, this might seem like it's a bit of an odd choice. It has been 5,000 moons since I've touched RWBY, and for good reason. Initially, RWBY was one of the things that I built my channel and online presence around, and I have a very turbulent history with the show, to say the least. Initially, it was coming out when I was in high school, and then I kind of clung to it afterwards when my life was not great. And so the show kind of became intertwined with my sense of self and my identity. At the same time, it was also like the start of basically my internet career. And all of those things led to a perfect storm where I kind of just didn't know what I was doing. And then I entered a phase of white knighting the shit out of the show and the company. And then afterwards, realizing that that wasn't a good idea and that I was kind of an asshole. And there was a brief era after that where I was allowing myself to be a bit more critical of the show. I swung very hard in the other direction of like being very critical of the show to almost make up for that previous era. And since then, I've just been very quiet as I've tried to get more distance, as I've tried to expand my media diet while also becoming more private. So while I have kept up with RWBY and, you know, the destruction of the Chicken Tooth Company, I haven't really talked about it publicly. I've never even really talked about Volume 9 on the channel, I think. And recently I've been kind of re-entering a RWBY spiral, which has been like reopening a lot of old wounds, making me think a lot about things. And I thought maybe it would be kind of interesting going back, seeing how I feel about RWBY now that so much time has passed. You know, gauge how I feel about it. I was working on a video sharing my thoughts on Volumes 8 and 9, but then I realized I kind of want to talk about the show as a whole. But in order to do that, I kind of have to rewatch the whole show. And I was like, actually, maybe revisiting RWBY would be kind of interesting in this like weird space where the Rooster Teeth Company is gone. We're kind of all aware of how terrible they were. Past me, eat shit. Not even that. It's just we were aware for a long time of how awful they were. Like even as far back as like volumes 3 and 4. And I really just can't excuse the way that I hand waved all that away because it threatened my love of the show. I cannot apologize enough for that behavior. And also like painting a lot of fellow critics as like the hate. God, I hate it. I hate that I came up with that fucking word. Jesus fucking. Oh, God. So I think at the top of this, I really just want to start with that. I offered a lot of apologies and like making peace with RWBY, but none of them were like all that specific. Specifically, I really want to apologize to fellow creators that I was really shitty to, specifically on the artist formerly known as Twitter. Specifically, Fat Man Falling, Celtic Phoenix, Vexed Viewer, there's that whole group of critics who were never afraid to share how they felt about the show. And not that I ever like went after them, but like I felt like it was kind of clear from like my tone of superiority, specifically from the Volume 6 era, that I just kind of wrote off a lot of their work. And I still feel a lot of shame about the way that I behaved. So like it's been a long time and I feel a bit awkward about that. I think even now I just feel really awkward bringing it up. But I kind of felt the wounds opening back up and I was just like, there's been a lot of discourse about how the RWBY fandom became a very toxic space to interact with, a very like toxically positive sort of space. And I talked about that a lot. I kind of feel like I fell victim to it, but like at the same time, I helped to cultivate that kind of atmosphere. And like, I feel like I've said it before, but I feel like it's just a thing that I'm always trying to be mindful of because I don't ever want to behave the way I did in that era of my life and my online career ever again. And I felt like if I were to revisit RWBY, it's important for me to just put that out there, like front this with that before entering like this new saga, basically of revisiting things. So like, I hope y'all are doing well. I haven't really talked to any of them like in a long time. I'm very much like an internet recluse. So now with those things like addressed, shall we move into the color trailers? Because I figured if we're gonna do like a volume at a time, we must start with the color trailers where it all began. because the color trailers are what introduce us to the main four girlies. They're what really set the mood and get us to not expect what's coming, because the show will look nothing like the color trailers.
It's false advertising.
But you know, get a vibe of what the show was meant to be. Specifically, the first two trailers, I believe, were done mostly, if not exclusively, by Monty, with the music input by Jeff Williams and Casey, obviously. And they still eat. I've been rewatching the trailers specifically a lot. And ooh, girl, they age like wine. So we're starting with the red trailer, where it all began, where we first met Ruby fucking Rose. Immediately, I love the red like roses leitmotif. Oh, it's so beautiful. And even the way that, like, fuck Rooster Teeth, but like the beautiful way that it fades into like red and white. The use of colors is so simple. I love this limited palette of mostly white, red, and black, because those were the first three colors Monty thought of for the show. Like, Ruby's design is mostly those three colors. The set is mostly those colors. You've got Ruby waving off the rose petals. She's on the white cliffs with the black edge. Brings me to the place you rest.
That's why your mama dead. Dead as hell.
And then Summer's grave. There's so much intrigue and mystery of who is this person? Am I the Lorax? But there's a lot of mystery here, and you're wondering who this girl is. And the visuals do a really good job, I think, of drawing you in. Oh, and then the little wolves. I assume this is before we knew what the Grimm were, so these were just generic wolf monsters and not necessarily Grimm. I love that their fangs are red. They help really pop, but also go with Ruby.
Hello.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Can we talk about the face reveal in midair right before she pops off? Oh, God. Ooh, yes. And the way that she's using the sniper rifle and then it transforms into the... Yes!
We're all gonna die.
It's not only unique, but like you can tell Monty clearly thought about the mechanics of how exactly the rifle worked with the mechanics of the scythe. You see the precise way that it transforms. It wasn't like just blindly haphazardly shooting and then have it transform in like one frame through like a flash or something. Ooh, that guitar eats. Oh my God, yes. I really like this acoustic guitar for Ruby. I've been thinking about it a lot. I kind of like, in addition to the leitmotif, specific kind of genres or instruments associated with characters. It's like the leitmotif is their essence, and then the instruments used are like the expression of them. And I kind of like that Ruby's default is this acoustic, kind of dark, but still whimsical sound. The rose petals as she's slicing through all the monsters too is a great effect.
Oh my God!
Yeah, girl! Oh, she's so good. Yeah, this is really mostly showing off the design and her scythe. I will say, you don't really get much of a vibe for Ruby's character through the trailer. You're not getting much of her personality aside from badass, which, I mean, is not a problem. I feel like the action is enough to draw you in along with like the set piece and the weapon. But it is kind of hard not to notice that like Ruby's personality is not really at the forefront of the red trailer.
Talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular.
Ooh, that was so good. And I also really like that Red Like Roses specifically. It mentions all the different colors like red, white, black, and yellow, like foreshadowing them. I think this is a great move marketing-wise to introduce you to the four leads and get you like really hyped and excited for the show to come. When I got into RWBY, I think it was right before Volume 2 came out, so I didn't see the trailers when they first came out, so, you know. But marketing-wise, genius. And, you know, it's a very simple trailer. It's a simple forest set with, like, all these black snowy trees and a snowy field. It's a very simple premise, but that's, I think, what really helps sell it. It's simple enough to let the real star of the show shine, and that is Crescent fucking Rose. Oh, it's so good. And now we move on to the white trailer. I feel like Weiss has kind of always been my favorite, and I think she's most people's favorite. It was mostly, I think, the family issues and stuff that made me really connect to Weiss, along with the, whole mage melee aesthetic, where she's like dancing around with her sword, killing things, but she's still kind of the most magic heavy. Yes, I know it's not actually magic, but she looks, it's basically magic with all the glyphs and the ranged attacks. I just really love her aesthetic and her vibe. Yeah, and starting here, all the color trailers start with a quote. Everyone is entitled to their own sorrow, for the heart has no metrics or form of measure, and all of it irreplaceable. I think for that, it's mostly about the fact that Weiss is an heiress. She's in a position of privilege, and yet she's incredibly lonely. Her family is a goddamn mess. Her father is a piece of trash. It's basically like you can have all the privilege in the world, seemingly, but there can still be great grief or pain in your heart. And I do appreciate that. I think that really lends itself well to Weiss. Even though my first thought is how they fumble Weiss a lot, specifically in the first volume. Oh, dear God. But it's cute. I see the vision and I dig it. And I also do like the characters are loosely inspired by fairy tale characters. I feel like they didn't do nearly enough with it. RWBY is Little Red Riding Hood. That one's kind of really obvious because of the cloak. And the wolves are almost like a stand-in for the big bad wolf. Weiss is Snow White, but I feel like that's not really clear aside from her being pale as shit. There's nothing really else connecting her to Snow White aside from the mirror. But Snow herself never really interacted with the mirror. That was the evil queen. I don't know. I would have liked to see more of the fairy tale stuff.
Tell me who's
I make loneliness work for me.
Oh, yeah. And it's the concert hall paired with the training arena.
Hello there.
Yeah, there are stories behind these trailers, but you don't really know. Because when they were being made, they were mostly just about the fights and the spectacle. And then later on, they were canonized through like offhand comments or supplemental material. RWBY's favorite thing. I don't think that's reasonable to expect viewers to catch on to. I don't. It doesn't necessarily help you understand more of her character, especially for people who would have watched the show without watching the trailers. Because realistically, a lot of them aren't going to know to go watch the 4 trailers. Oh, see, the way she's so graceful. She slides like a ballerina all over the place with her glyphs. Her glyphs facilitate her momentum. And I love that. And back when she used her sword as a sword, the set, mostly being black and white, is really striking too. It really helps Weiss pop. And it also makes this arena feel otherworldly.
I rise.
Yeah, I don't know how guns work, but the fact that her chamber in the sword is that of a revolver for different dust types, which like you also would not know what dust is watching these, but like, the elements is really cool. The lyrics are kind of the only thing giving you insight into Weiss, which is a running theme. It's a good song though. I really like Mirror Mirror. I especially love the production of it. That it feels almost kind of classical, but has these synthy elements. And I love that bell chime in the middle. I noticed Red Like Roses and Mirror Mirror are way more heavy on the instruments than vocals. They're both very light on the lyrics. And it makes me almost kind of wish that we stayed with songs that were lighter on lyrics. Because I still feel like they tell a compelling story. The later songs have an issue where we cram 500 syllables into a line. And that was Weiss. I do think it's an interesting choice paralleling her performance at a concert hall with her battle and her struggling in private. I think that's a really interesting choice. Really great trailer. It's just kind of making me wish a lot of these things were in the show proper. And also sad that Weiss will never fight this good ever again.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
It's false advertising.
Ah, the Black trailer. The Forgotten Child.
Did I lie? Did I lie?
I feel like the Black trailer is kind of the least favorite, which is not to say it's bad. I still think it's really good. I think it struggles the most because the red and white trailers are the most simple. There's not really a lot of story going on with either of them. The white trailer has a bit of an emotional story in the lyrics and Weiss's facial expressions, but the Black trailer is really where they try to have more of a straightforward narrative of like Blake and Adam hijacking the train. Blake is dealing with the fact that Adam is a lunatic. And I think that kind of shows a lot of growing pains and foreshadows a lot of the red flags about the writing.
Interesting.
The red flag.
Your hopes have become my burden. I will find my own liberation. Oh yeah, that's I think it's obvious what that is, but it's also like, we'll get to it later, but for reference, see my White Fang video. Good lord. It's just, who let the white men write about racism? Who let them do this? It does make sense to have Blake's trailer set here though, because this is the event that will set her on the path to attending Beacon later. Foreverfall, I must also say, is gorgeous. This red environment helps Blake pop really well, and it also kind of suits Adam's color palette. Oh, that Blake introduction with the vocals is so good. I like that From Shadow starts with that soft piano and then Casey's vocals. It reminds me a lot of Mirror Mirror, but then it goes into like a more rock punky direction. I kind of like that. Oh, and the black cliffs with the red grass. It looks so good. Yeah, and the first two trailers also had more of a fantasy vibe. I feel like showing the train, it's kind of clear. It's more of a modern kind of setting. Yang's is the one that really hammers home the more modern feel of RWBY overall. But I feel like we're starting to go more in that direction, especially with the robots.
Looks like we're gonna be doing this the hard way.
Girlfriend, stop! Get back in the car!
Oh, the quality on Adam's mic. Oh, that's unfortunate. Aaron immediately delivering on Blake's voice.
Don't be so dramatic.
I love how like broody and kind of like snarky Blake used to be. It's really fun. Again, limited color palette. It's mostly black, white, and red. The black train and the red alarms, and then the black robots with the red lighting on them. So good. Yellow is really not present though. Although I assume part of that is also just because yellow's a lot harder to get to work. Yellow is like red in the fact that it draws your eye and it's very loud, but red is a lot easier to make work with a lot of other colors and taken a lot more seriously than yellow. I do like Blake's yellow eyes though.
Get over here!
The ribbon on Gamble Shroud is to die for. I love it so fucking much. Oh, yes. I will say Blake is kicking ass, but it feels like Adam is the real star of this trailer. You know, none of the other girls have to share their role as the lead protagonist the way that Blake does. And I wonder if that's part of why this trailer doesn't feel as strong.
I'll set the charges.
What about the crew members?
What about them?
Can you tell Adam is a cartoonish villain? Good lord. Ugh, the acting is bad. His voice is not helping, but the dialogue also is not doing him any favors. Maybe having the revolutionary leader be a cartoon villain wasn't a great idea. I do like the design of the spider robot, I will say. I do like that. Yeah, From Shadows is... I like what it's kind of trying to do. It's kind of just marred by the way the White Fang plot is handled as a whole, but also like the lyrics. It's really hard to tell what Jeff and Casey are saying for a lot of it, and all the sound effects and dialogue are not helping.
This is supposed to be my show. Can we?
Yeah, see, even in this moment, Blake is kicking ass, but the real star is Adam with the moon slice. I mean, he looks great. Don't get me wrong. The effects are wonderful. It's just his writing and voice acting are already red flags, and Blake is not getting to be the star of her own trailer, which I think is a crime. I would have liked to see Blake and Adam fight instead of them fighting robots. I would like to have seen that.
Bye.
Interesting that Blake is wearing the bow, but he doesn't make a comment on it. I mean, I know why, but it's, you know, interesting. And Blake fades off as the piano goes, and it's just her silhouette fading away into the red.
Dead, get it? No more, gone, so shut up! Don't say a word!
Really good visuals, but wow, Blake kind of took a backseat there. Yeah, already Adam's writing is a red flag, redder than all the red trees. I think kind of immediately I'm just like, cool idea, but why are y'all executing it like this? Like, I kind of have an idea of Blake's character from here. It's just not very strongly established. And at last, the yellow trailer. Are we ready for our girl, our queen, our ball of sunshine and rage, Yang. I love Yang. Well, I love early Yang. She's fun. Scathing Eyes ask that we be symmetrical, one-sided, and easily processed. Yet every misshapen spark's unseen beauty is greater than its would-be judgment. I love this fucking quote. This idea of being a misshapen spark. You don't really fit in. You're judged because you're not conforming to what everyone wants from you. I love that. I love this idea that Yang is this yellow beauty, this misshapen spark who is just being herself, and she doesn't care what you think of her. I wish it was more integrated into her story because it really doesn't feel like Yang's story is about being a misshapen spark. It's like, great concept here, but y'all did nothing with it. I wonder if that's maybe also a reference to the fact that her design is insane. Twins Inc. covered it in her video about, like, you know, all the character designs and the stuff. And the fact that because we started off with red, white, and black, yellow is the fourth wheel, so Yang is kind of the afterthought. Ruby, Weiss, and Blake are mostly limited color palettes. It's mostly red, white, and black. And then Yang is coming in with like 17 different shades of brown. So not only are none of the other girls using her color, but Yang doesn't look like she really belongs design-wise with the other girls, which maybe you could argue fits the misshapen spark thing. But for me, it's not clicking. It's not working. I also kind of like Yang's design. I like the bomber jacket. I like the half skirt with the shorts. I really like the texturing going on with her outfit specifically. I love the texturing that you can tell immediately the material that it's made of. Because back in the poser era, they used a lot more texturing on the outfits and the different environments. And I miss that. I miss it so much. Will say though, do not like Yang's hair.
I think I'm actually gonna faint.
It doesn't help that shape and silhouette wise, it's already too similar to Blake's, especially with like the bangs and the way it flows in the back. But like in the concept art, Yang's hair always looks like a fiery cloud. But here it's just kind of ugly. I just don't like the way that it looks. I'm sorry, I don't. I feel like for a Goldilocks character, her hair should be a lot more voluminous. It just does not look like that. It looks limp. I do love that silhouette of her entering and it's just her yellow hair though. That's great. Oh my God, Blake was so irrelevant in her own trailer. I forgot to mention her fairy tale character. Wow. She's, you know, Beauty from Beauty and the Beast, but also the Beast because we're clever.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, I love the design of the club. This black environment, and it's mostly just white and red lights showing you where all the props and the stairs are. I love that. I just really like how weirdly abstract it makes the environment feel. I did like that Roman made a little cameo. I think by this point they probably knew that Roman was going to be a bigger thing in the show itself, so they were alluding to him. I think that's neat.
Strawberry sunrise. No ice. Oh, and one of those little umbrellas.
Did Yang ever get her strawberry sunrise? I'm just now thinking that. Did she ever get her drink?
Instead of sweetheart, you could just call me sir.
I support women's wrongs.
Immediately Yang is coming in threatening a man, and I'm like, okay, sure, why not? I assume that she's looking for Raven. I don't know why you would look for Raven in this place, but sure, why not? We need a reason for the trailer to happen, so go for it, girl. Why are y'all wielding hatchets? Of all the weapons you goons could wield hatchets?
Let's kiss and make up, okay?
I love flirty but violent Yang. She's my favorite Yang. Her weapons being like gun gauntlets and seeing the way they transform out is so good. Oh, the gold line as she's in front of the disco ball is so good. And you know what? I must say I love fire-themed characters who are yellow instead of red. I really like that. You know what? It's making me think of like Fire Eco, like Yellow Eco from Jack and Daxter. I also really like that here. It's kind of a medley remix of all the trailer songs, including I Burn. The way she propels herself up with the blast of the gauntlets is so good.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
F in the chat for Teddy Bear Man. Oh, it's Snow White and Rose Red. Hello.
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you?
I asked you first.
I asked you second.
I have no idea how guns work, but that was the coolest thing ever. Ooh, yes. Okay, their shoes and accessories being blades, really cool. I really dig the way that they fight together against Yang. Especially because Yang's weapons allow for both ranged and close quarters combat. So having her opponents be close quarters with the blades makes a lot of sense. I can't get over the coloring of the environment. I love it so much. All the different rave lights going on, the way that the room is white and then the tree is red and then they swap colors is so good. Color is such a simple way to make any environment look unique and pop. It's so good. And he has a bazooka because why the hell not? A bazooka that is also a club to defend his club.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I do like Goldilocks coming in and messing up the Three Bears nightclub, even though Junior is only one of the bears.
Never the same, totally unique, completely not ever been done before.
Oh, yes. The hair fire effect. I love it so much. I kind of wish her hair went up a little bit like an actual fire effect instead of just letting off the fire. I still think it looks really good. And I kind of like that the fire is almost white. Hi, Ruby.
Hello.
The association of Ruby with the moon and then Yang with the sun, really cute. Really love that. And that's our 4 girlies. So I think Yang definitely got the most to show off her personality there. She got the most dialogue. She didn't have to share her trailer with anybody else. Hers has like the most straightforward story. I say straightforward as in like, so she's looking for somebody in the club, but it's not clear who. It's mostly just an excuse for the combat. The trailers exist to catch your attention. They do a great job at selling you on the characters' unique weapons and fighting styles. They astonish you with spectacle and color. The use of color in these trailers is fucking phenomenal. The visuals are a chef's kiss. And there are hints at underlying stories for Weiss, Blake, and Yang specifically. It's just when it comes to actual storytelling, like the plot, it is lacking. It doesn't really need to be strong because the visuals and the colors are just so good. But I think this really showcases the fact that those were RWBY's greatest strength. And Monty's animation with the fight scene specifically gave so much personality and hints at story that were enough for RWBY to coast by and catch people's attention. But I think also, wow, the red flags for the writing were, they were always there. And now to wrap this first video up, we shall also have Chapter 1 of Volume 1. It's going to be a bunch of different videos. So this first session is the color trailers and then episode 1. And then next time we'll do a few more episodes. I'll figure out the grouping as we go. But yeah, we're getting into Volume 1 proper. Volume 1 is interesting. It's usually not the one that I revisit all that often. But every time I do, it's usually better than I remember it being. Like the wonky animation is not as bad as I remember. It's not great, but like it's not terrible. At least I can tolerate it. And there's actually a lot of charm and personality in Volume 1. I've found that Volumes 1 through 3 and a little bit of 4 are actually like really fun to revisit. The comedy specifically in Volumes 1 and 2 and some of 3, gold. Fucking gold. I don't know what the hell happened to the comedy.
Legends. Stories scattered through time.
And we begin, as all great stories do, with a monologue. I too have seen Avatar. Insane they got Jen Taylor, though. Hi, Salem. I mean, mysterious narrator lady. Please don't hurt us.
Let me think about that. Okay, I thought about it. No.
An inevitable darkness, the creatures of Grimm set their sights on man and all of his creations.
I kind of like what they were trying to go for with this storybook illustration where it feels a bit whimsical but also dark. So like they're establishing the creatures of Grimm and also dust. They're trying to like set up parts of the world for you to understand. And I do appreciate that. But I feel like dust, yes, is an important aspect, but I would argue that there are other important aspects to establish right out the gate, like huntsmen and huntresses, semblances. I still love the look of the RWBY world map, though. The fact that the continents look like dragons is iconic as hell. The fact that it started as like a napkin is wild.
Darkness will return.
Oh no, he's hot!
Hi, Roman, one of my fictional husbands. How are you?
Just he can never not be gay for 5 seconds. I'm just like, can you not be gay for 5 minutes?
Feeling very Clockwork Orange, aren't we? Oh, and Roman's leitmotif. How I've missed it.
There will be no victory in strength.
But perhaps victory is in the simpler things that you've long forgotten. Things that require a smaller, more honest soul.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Ozpin, who asked you to interject? I was listening to Salem. Hi, Ruby.
Hello.
The fact she's reading a weapon magazine is everything. I miss her being a weapon nut. I am wondering what she's doing in Vale, though. Like, you live on Patch. Why are you here? Like, she's mostly just here to prevent the robbery, but, like, she's not driving the plot. The plot's happening to her.
The fuck you say to me, you little shit!
Do you have any idea how hard it is to find a dust shop open this late?
I'm mostly thinking back to H. Bomber Guy's video explaining it. Specifically, the fact that a lot of this feels very Cowboy Bebop. And I am not a girly who has seen Cowboy Bebop. I know I must, but I have not. It's one of those things where they're like copying the mechanisms that they see and regurgitating them, but they're not really understanding why they work. And I understand that, like, I feel every creative has gone through that phase. It's a necessary part of learning what you like, learning how to create before you find your voice.
Are you robbing me?
Yes.
So Ruby stopping a dust robbery, I guess it does establish her as like brave and like ready to do the right thing and also kick ass. It is iconic. However, it's much like the Red trailer where we're still not getting a lot of Ruby being an active character with a clear arc. Her personality is being shown off a lot more here, but she's lacking a lot of qualities that make a stronger protagonist. Again, she's very reactive. Things are happening to her rather than her going out of her way to do these things. Like, she only existed here so that Roman could do the robbery and that she could fight him and that Glinda and Oz could find her and she could go to Beacon. It just makes her not as strong of a character as she could have been, which sucks because she rules right now.
Did he die? Bitch, I think he dead.
She's such a little baddie. I love her wrecking the goons like this. Her zipping around with her little scythe. Oh, it's so good.
You have killed my men.
I've simplified your payroll.
And she's got a little sass to her, which I appreciate.
This is where we part ways.
The fact that the cane is also a gun is everything. I do love that everything is also a gun. And I must also say, I really like that Vale is a more modern setting. I think it really helps RWBY stand out compared to other fantasy shows. Oh, the music is so good. The Red Like Roses leitmotif working its way in is so good. End of the line, Red, he says, holding a red dust crystal like he's clever.
Hey, Queen.
Nice intro, Glinda. Although you have glyphs, like Weiss. So, you know, what's up with that? I wish they kept glyphs as like a thing everyone can do. They're just rare. Like maybe they're a rare thing that have to be studied to apply dust to. Okay, yeah, calling Glinda a huntress, you kind of get the vibe. Huntresses, huntsmen, they're like maybe akin to local authorities or police or superheroes, which is not wrong. That's a good introduction of the concept, I think. Ooh, Cinder, back when she was, you know, threatening.
Good evening, trash.
You're not that bitch or nothing, but you still ate that little one thing.
You know, interesting that when we knew less about her, she was scarier and cooler. I will say, Cinderella being a pyromaniac, love that down. Love the concept. And her outfit, the red cocktail dress with the gold patterns that glow when she attacks, the blue feather, and the black glass slippers with the little anklet. Ooh, it's everything.
Unafraid to reference or not reference, put it in a blender, shit on it, vomit on it, eat it, give birth to it.
Snot girl, I think you dropped something. My jaw.
I really also like that little move she does where she blows up the ground underneath where you're standing. Really good introduction to like a higher level threat that we'll have to face later. It's just I know where it goes later, so I'm preemptively sad.
Can I have your autograph? I hope you realize that your actions tonight will not be taken lightly, young lady.
Oh yes, I too have seen Legend of Korra. I mean, I do get it because like RWBY's not a huntress. She's just a child. And I do like Glinda being like, you put yourself in danger, so I'm gonna be Griselda, but like more amicable.
You're lucky you weren't turned into jumping beans and sold to the Interrealm Circus.
And immediately, Ozpin is like, I'm important.
You have silver eyes.
Well, I will cut you.
Don't start with me on silver eyes, old man. Do not test me.
They taught you to use one of the most dangerous weapons ever designed?
Let me see what you have.
No! The fact that RWBY is a little weapon maniac who creates war machines. Yes, love that for her.
It's just that I've...
What was that?
Okay, the cookie thing. Okay, it's a thing where it's like, y'all need to understand what you can and cannot animate. Like, if y'all wanted to do that for a gag, you could have just had one shot where it's the whole cookie plate in front of her, cut away to Ozpin. You hear, like, the plate move or a belch off screen. Cut back to RWBY, the plate is empty, maybe just crumbs, and she looks full. You didn't have to animate her eating any of the cookies awkwardly, and you still communicated the same information.
My parents always taught us to help others, so I thought, oh, I might as well make a career out of it. I mean, the police are alright, but husband and huntresses are just so much more romantic and exciting and cool. You know?
I love Glinda's reaction. RWBY is so cute, though. I wish they established more about things like aura and semblances right out the gate. I will say the Huntress thing, I think they established a little bit better than I remembered.
You want to come to my school?
More than anything.
Well, okay.
Of course, because we need the plot to happen. Although I'm like, no one ever mentioned that your dad was like besties with the headmaster or the professors at Beacon. It's like Ozpin has never heard of RWBY before, even though it's like, you knew her mom, you knew her parents. So weird that never came up. Probably because they didn't know all the details yet, but you know.
I don't want to be the bee's knees, okay? I don't want to be any kind of knees. I just want to be a normal girl with normal knees.
Well, let me tell you, you'll never get it.
I like RWBY being like a little awkward turtle who doesn't want the spotlight. That's cute. I really like that.
This Saturday's Fauna civil rights protest turned dark when members of the White Fang disrupted the ceremony.
Okay, James.
Oh God, no, not the racism subplot. Make it stop. You can really tell this came out when the Black Lives Matter movement was starting, and you can tell how the writers probably felt about it. Oh dear God. Ooh.
Who's that?
My name is Glinda Goodwitch.
Oh.
Okay, that joke was funny. Thank you for distracting me from your terrible racism analogy. You know, the shape on Glinda's cape is real weird with all like the pointy arrows going all around. It's cool though. I kind of dig it. And you know what? I don't hate the shadow people. I actually kind of like them from a style perspective. Like, yeah, it's a case of guess who the main characters are. But I don't know. I feel like it adds to the style of Volume 1 with all the strong, bold colors and the weird, abstract vibe of some of the environments.
Well, I guess the view isn't for everyone.
Oh, hi, Jean. I'll bully you later. It's fine. Oh, airship. I just love the futuristic stuff. Winx Club primed me for this. Ooh, intro. Yeah. This will be the day. Bitch, yes. Oh, and the first visual of Summer Rose being from this intro with the white cloak that becomes the moon peeling away. Oh, that's so good. And then little glimpses of the girlies in their trailer environments too. Well, except Yang, she's in Vale. Side note, I love her bike. I love that it's this yellow-orange gradient. Part of me though wishes that Bumblebee was also a gun. Stop reminding me of Pyrrha. It hurts too much. You know, it's a cute start to the show. I think it did a really good job of endearing you to RWBY as a character. It's just she doesn't feel like a particularly active character is the problem. Like, yeah, she is stopping like a robbery and going after Roman and then kind of making a case for herself with Ozpin. But again, it's like everything kind of just happened to her. And also like, girl, you don't live in like the city of Vale. You live on Patch. So like, why were you here? Were you like meeting up with friends or something? And yes, before you go, yes, I know Ice Queendom explained it. That doesn't count because it's a piece of supplemental material that came out years and years and years after this. We don't play that game here. We don't. So yeah, that was the beginning of RWBY. We've begun our revisit, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody else. That was a lot more enjoyable than I remember it being. I think a lot of the red flags are still there, but I think Volume 1 is also benefited by being a lot simpler than the volumes to come. It's a lot more character focused, which I think really works. The characters are not particularly strong, but they are fun to watch, and it's also very easy to read into everything and assign them headcanons. Lord knows I did it for years. So yeah, bye.